All right, welcome everybody. Thank you all for joining us today. I see a lot of people from the bus yesterday. Thank you all for those of you who were able to join us both yesterday and today. It's been a really great experience planning the South Louisiana Food Summit. My name is Jennifer Ritter-Guidry, and I am the secretary for the Acadiana Food Alliance on their board, as well as the committee chair for this event. And I just want to thank you all for joining us. I'm going to go over a little bit of housekeeping real quick before we get started. Number one, please check your cell phones. Make sure they're on silent, vibrate, or off. We have coffee service in the back, and that is courtesy of Acadiana Food Hub, and we want to thank them immensely for providing coffee to keep us fueled throughout the day. We also have other event sponsors, including Waiter, Create Lafayette, and the Eat Lafayette campaign that is launched and managed by Lafayette Travel. So we want to thank all of our supporting sponsors, and we want to thank all of you guys because we couldn't have done this without all of you. One last thing, restrooms are all the way down the hall and to the side of the escalators, so it's a little bit of a hike. Fair warning. And there is another event down there. Please just be respectful as you make your way to the restroom. This is a full day event, so we have programs available for you, and we have built in generous breaks so that you guys can continue conversations that have started through the panel discussions, and hopefully some that began yesterday on the bus. I want to introduce to you our fearless leader with the Acadiana Food Alliance, Alicia Delahousie, to tell you a little bit more about the Acadiana Food Alliance. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jennifer, and thank all of you for being here. Thank you for all of our Acadiana Food Alliance board members, because putting on this event has been quite a challenge, and everyone has put in so much effort, and I really want to give a round of applause to them because it's been fantastic. And we had a great farm tour yesterday, several stops, so thank you for getting through all the weather, and thanks for coming today. But I just want to tell you a little bit about Acadiana Food Alliance. You can check us out at growacadiana.org to find out more about what we're doing. We basically serve as a food advocacy group for Lafayette and the surrounding parishes, and we try to help support farmers and other producers, as well as those looking to purchase local foods. So if you have any questions about getting in contact with producers, please reach out to us. We have a online food directory with local farms listed on that on our website. And there are several members here today, so if you have questions throughout the day, you can talk to Jennifer or Max up here. And then we have Chris in the back, standing at the exit sign, or myself. So thank y'all. Oh, wait, and Andre too. Yeah, and Natasha should be up pretty shortly. So find us, we'll be around. Thanks so much for coming.
Good morning, everybody. I definitely am honored to be introducing our opening keynote speaker, Mr. Grant Estrade, who I met a few years back at a conference not unlike this, actually. And he was giving a talk on chickens, I believe. But he's a true inspiration for what we're really trying to achieve with a summit like this, which is, highlighting the importance and health benefits of local foods and working on those relationships between the community, restaurants, farmers, ranchers, and he's an all-around great guy too, and really found a lot of success with his farm up in Bogalusa, as well as his nursery store in Metairie. He has a great bio in your program as well. I really could go on and on about how great he is, but I think we just go ahead and get into the whole deal. So maybe Grant's right there up front. Awesome. Mr. Grant, I'll give the stage to you.
Hello, hello. You can hear me. All right, fantastic. Oh, on the PowerPoint. Just cue. Oh, okay. Well, then I'm gonna get off the stage. Estrade means a platform or stage in French, but I don't really like them very much. My name is Grant Estrade. Just like Max said, thank you for the lovely introduction. My wife and I, Kate, we operate Laughing Buddha Nursery in Metairie, Louisiana. We've had that garden store for 16 years. Now we're also operating Local Cooling Farms in Bogalusa, Louisiana, 60 miles north of New Orleans. So we go back and forth. We've coupled the two businesses together. All in all, our mission is to supply folks with products to help them grow their own food, and in that sense is vegetable gardening, as well as provide food for folks who just want to buy it and consume it. So that is our main focus. Let's see what slide. So is that the first slide, or is that the? Okay, yeah, there we go. Okay, so go to the next one. Okay, so that's Kate up there. Kate and I's relationship is kind of like C student marries valedictorian, right? So she helped me put together the PowerPoint because it was super last minute. So I might have some surprise slides that I don't even know is in there. It's fascinating. Okay, you want to do the next one there? So that's just a quick picture of our shop there. You want to go right there? Okay, so we'll hang out here for a second. So the other business that we're involved in is soil and composting, right? So we're, in a way, we're, very holistic in all of our approaches, right? So we want people to grow their own food, we want people to generate and care for soil, and then we also want people to eat all the healthy food stuff that is out there. So we want the big picture thing. With our farm, we are doing livestock. We decided that we wanted to raise a healthy protein product, because we didn't, it's hard to do both, right? So in order for us to sell product to consumers, and we're going to talk about how we're doing that, we're also working with a lot of other farmers, which is very important, right? So we're selling the protein, but we're also working with about a dozen other farms right now, produce to honey to dairy, and we're buying from them just like a restaurant or a grocery store would, and we're reselling that product through our sales avenue. And that way, what I tell folks, standard line, a nutritionist will tell you when you walk into a garden, not a garden shop, when you walk into a grocery store, you don't want to shop the outer perimeter of that grocery store, right? That's where your meat, your dairy, hopefully your healthy bread is going to be. Those are all where a lot of your staples are going to be. You start going into the center of the aisles, it's where all your cereal and all your basically your junk food, right, is the processed, the more expensive stuff is, and the stuff that's not so good for you. So we're focused on that angle of everything. And so we're doing multi-species livestock, so we have layers. We've got pigs. The pigs we're actually doing our breeding, so we're farrow to finish, meaning the pigs are born on our farm. We're finishing them. We're bringing them to slaughter weight. We don't live in this area, but we're definitely connected to this area because we do a lot of our processing with Eunice Superette. We just dropped 2 steer off over there last night, and then so we're doing the hogs, we're doing the chickens, we're growing our beef operation, and we also maintain a breeding herd of meat goats as well. And we're all using them in a very synergistic fashion. I'm not going to go too much into the ag part of what we do. Y'all can talk to me after that, but our mentor farm that we kind of adopted is one of them is Polyface Farm out of Virginia. We've had a lot of communication over the years with them. They've helped us to kind of help develop, how we're, modeling what we do, of course, adapted for our climate. Next one. So some more pictures, pigs, chickens, and the goats. One thing that we're doing, with our management as far as feed, Alicia had asked me to talk about a little bit about labeling. We would be considered, the feed that we take in for our animals is non-GMO. We do non-GMO or better with our grain. So we're in that rotational movement, grass finish type genre world. All right, some more pictures, some pumpkins being fed to the pigs after we picked up probably about 5 tons of pumpkins from a pumpkin patch that's failed. So we're going to hang out here for a second. Talk about our delivery hub. We, in short, I want to stress this point, is that we're working with other farmers in our pursuit of getting the products to the to folks, right? The other thing that we're doing is that we're using the latest technology available to us to make it convenient for customers to get the product from us. So, our delivery hub is a mashup between an a la carte delivery, CSA, food hub, grocery store. I don't even have a real term for it, right? So we're being very creative in how we're approaching all of this and how we're pursuing, what we're doing. Okay, so this is a little thing on the carbon cycle, right? Farmers love talking about the complicated ecosystem of what we're doing, and that's going to be the talk that we're really going to be talking about today, is the ecosystem of local food and all the players in local food and how we can kind of like work together into doing this. As complicated as this graph or this shows of a carbon cycle, carbon sequestration, thing breaking down in soil, all the things going on in the soil, all the different organisms, symbiotic relationships, parasitic relationships, everything going on. Farmers love to talk about that, but when they actually go to implement their business model, or a customer goes to buy local produce, this kind of goes out the window, right? A farmer, your typical farmer, is gonna want to do the farming. They may want to do the sales. They may not want to answer the phone because they don't want to ask for help and they don't want to work with other folks, right? That's a typical farmer thing that we may run into. So the hallmark of the talk and what I want to stress to everybody is that the local food ecosystem, just like this pattern that we see in nature, that I think everybody here can agree upon, that the soil ecosystem is very important, right? That's where the animals get their food. That's where we get our food. I mean, that's where we will return eventually, right? It's very, very important. So I want to stress that there's no silver bullet answer to local food. It's complicated, it's moving, and it's evolving. It's constant. And so we really have to take in all of the working parts into account in order to have a successful local food movement, if that's what you want to call it, right? Okay. So that was the carbon cycle graph, right? That was just a cute picture, right? Well, this is an actual picture that I took the other day. It is a cow patty, right? We love cow patties. I love cow patties, right? It's great. Now, what really gets me excited about cow patties is the next morning when I'm doing all my stuff, and we can see the dung beetles have broken it down. I love that. I do love that. But my favorite are the worm castings next to the cow patties, right? So my finger is pointing towards a pile of worm castings. That pile of worm casting, if I got a measuring cup, would probably be about a cup, 3/4 or 1 cup full of worm castings. Now, what worms do is that they go up to the surface and they bring organic matter down and they eat it, and then they'll put it up on the top of the soil. Remember, soil builds up; it doesn't build deep, right? So we're not here to talk about soil, though. But anyway, this is an example of the carbon cycle right here, right? This is an example of a symbiotic relationship where a ruminant just ate grass, defecated on the ground. It's the worm's dinner that night, and then it's helping us build soil, right? So that is a real life picture reflecting of what that graph was, and I really that important relationship is just as important as any other relationship that we're going to have with each other, right? So, when you're talking to folks in ag, and everybody knows folks in ag who don't like the complicated, right? They want it simple, right? I want to work my property, and I don't want to have a phone on me, right? Or I just want to do this, Well, it's kind of rough especially in today's world where we're moving so fast, we're moving so fast to be able to do that. So, okay. Logistics. This is just a general logistics graph. Don't read into it. But this is, if you're in the manufacturing business, farming is manufacturing. Right? I tell people that. Some people completely disagree with me, and I was like, no, absolutely. I mean, you're using sunlight to make a product, right? I mean, you can itemize all of your costs. How much does it cost to produce an egg? How much does it cost to produce a beef? How much does it cost to produce, a beet, cut flowers, whatever you're doing? And then how much does it cost to transport that product to market, right? Where's the market? Where are the customers? Are you bringing stuff to the customers, or customers coming to you, right? It's a complicated thing, right? UPS and FedEx, right? Logistics is our business is one of their little catchphrases. Logistics is everybody's business. I love logistics and distribution. I think it's absolutely fascinating, and it's complicated, and you have to work at it, but it's just as complicated, again, as that soil ecosystem. So it's important for everybody to kind of understand that and how complicated it is. So for a grower, or for a restaurant, or for the consumer, or for whoever is involved in this whole local food scene, logistics have to be looked at. They have to be looked at. It's so expensive to move things around, right? So Max asked me to come talk at this. I flattered, right? But I'm a numbers guy, right? Okay, so it's on Tuesday. For me to be gone all day on Tuesday, I'm going to have extra payroll at my farm, because Tuesday is one of my farm days where Lucas, my employee, is not there. So I'm doing the chores on Tuesdays, right? Well, I asked Max, well, is there a budget for travel fees? I'm not shy about talking about money, right? He goes, yeah, we got a little bit of money for you. I go, okay, great. I was like, I thought to myself, that's not enough money, right? So instead of even saying that to Max, I got off the phone with him, or we were emailing, and I go, well, I'm a how can we make it work guy, right? So many people are like, it's not going to work. I go, no, how can it work? And I go, well, I do need to bring those 2 steer in. So I got on the phone with the Eunice Superette, and I was like, hey, look, can I bring, usually we drop off on Tuesdays, but I was like, can I bring 2 steer in Monday afternoon after you do your day's processing? They're like, no problem. And I was like, problem solved, right? So it went from that's not enough money to where that's going to work, because I got to go to Eunice anyway on my trip, and so the money I'm getting from my little honorarium is going to cover my extra payroll. So that's kind of like a cool win-win, right? And then I get to take a day off, right? This is like I get to sleep in a little bit, get to shave this morning, so it's all kinds of fun. So that's an example of logistics. This is just another little graph of logistics, right? So whenever you're participating in stuff, you got to know from a restaurant's perspective. And don't worry, I'm slowly kind of like creeping into what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about everybody today. Nobody's going to escape the conversation. For a restaurant to call a farmer and be like, hey, can you bring me 5 dozen eggs? Hey, that ain't going to work, right? I mean, 5 cases, I'll bring you 5 cases of eggs. I'm not going to bring you 5 dozen eggs, because it's going to take me, you're this many miles from my store. It costs me this much to operate my vehicle. So if I wake you up in the middle of the night, for those of you who are driving for work, and I go, how much is it costing you per mile for your vehicle? And you can't answer that question half asleep, then you really need to find that answer out. So for me, I drive a 7.3 diesel 99 Ford pickup truck, $1 per mile. That counts me as the driver, my insurance, my fuel, my maintenance, my tires, all of that, $1 per mile. So if you're 60 miles from me and I got to make a trip to you, I'm going to charge you $120. And if you're not willing to pay the $120, then I'm not going to do it. Or you need to be buying enough product from me to where I'd be kind of dumb not to do that delivery, right? So that's how one needs to operate. Next slide, please. Okay. So now we're gonna diverge away from ag talk. I am a total geek for things in the genre. I hate the self-help title, right? Like you hear it's self-help books. You know, library, you go to a bookstore, you see all the self-help stuff. But I love goal-setting stuff. I love leadership stuff. I'm big into that, big time. So that's when I start being able to actually utilize my philosophy degree, right? I get to dig deep into what makes things tick socially, psychologically, and all that kind of stuff, right? So all this kind of stuff is how I make decisions in my business and how I figure things out. So we're gonna borrow some stuff from Stephen Covey today. Stephen Covey wrote 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. Some of you guys may be familiar with that. Look, there's all kinds of models out there. You might be a fan of somebody like Zig Ziglar or Stephen Covey, or whatever, all this literature that's out there. It's all great stuff. It's all fantastic. I highly recommend it. But we're going to talk about this because we're talking about relationships. We're talking about the soil ecosystem analogy, right? We're all of our ecosystem and we're all working together in doing this. And that's why we're not afraid. Me as a farmer, I go, I love horticulture. Technically, I guess I'm a horticulturalist, right? Like I have the garden shop. We've got a composting business. I do love to garden. That's what got me started in the whole business. Right now, I don't have time to garden, I mean, it kind of hurts. I'm like dealing with the goats and the cattle and the chickens, and I was like, man, I love to grow some stuff, but I just don't have time to do that. Meanwhile, there's a whole bunch of produce growers who are doing an excellent job growing produce, and they're trying to get it to market. We're doing business with one guy who's in Jackson, Mississippi. He doesn't have time to do sales in New Orleans. He's doing deliveries in New Orleans, right? Progress Milk Barn, Motet's Dairy, they're out of Mississippi. They sell to Baton Rouge, New Orleans metro area. We resell their yogurt and their milk and their butter. They're busy with being a dairy, and so we're getting their product and we're reselling it, right? So we all need to interrelate with one another. So let's explain this real quick. It's 4 different scenarios whenever you enter into a relationship with somebody, for the most part, right? In this case, it's going to be, you can have a win-win relationship, you can have a win-lose relationship, you can have a lose-win relationship, and then you can have a win-win, or a lose-lose relationship, right? An example of a win-win relationship is, I'm going to pick on restaurants for example. Restaurant calls me and says, hey, Grant, I want your eggs. Great. This is how much I charge per dozen. Great. This is my minimum order. Done. Bring me 3 cases, whatever your minimum order is. Can I bring them on Tuesday morning? Great. Oh, COD. You got to cut me a check. If they say yes, yeah, that's awesome, right? And we have those relationships. That's a win-win relationship, right? Another version of that conversation, Grant, I need your eggs. They're for $4.50. $4.50 is our wholesale price. I'm not going to go into our pricing structure, why we charge $4.50 a dozen wholesale. That's what we charge. Can't pay $4.50. Well, we're going real close to the win-lose relationship real quick. I'm the loser, right? Because I know that if I'm selling my eggs for $4 a dozen, then I'm starting to get into that losing relationship, right? And then I go, okay, fine, I want to get my foot in the door with your restaurant by whatever case is, and he goes, and I go to COD. And he goes, no, you got to give me net 10 terms. I'll pay you in 10 days. Well, then that's another, then at that point I go, you know what, I don't think it's going to work out. All right, that's basically how we operate, right? So that we have to look at all those relationships in order to say, okay, is this going to be a successful thing? Is this going to be a symbiotic relationship? Is this going to be a parasitic relationship? How is this relationship going to work out? So that's going to be the context on how we're going to talk. Okay, so we're going to talk about the local food economy, the local food ecology, right? And we're going to kind of go through some different perspectives So everybody is kind of informed a little bit on, what we deal with every day, what everybody deals with every day. So we're gonna run through this real quick. What time do I need? Where are we? How are we at with time? UQ. Give me. Can you give me 10 minutes? Something like that. Okay, great. Okay. LDAF. Does anybody know what LDAF is? LDAF is the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry, right? So Mike Strain is the ag commissioner. LDAF is pretty powerful in agriculture, right? And we're going to talk about, so we're going to talk about, I'm going to be negative up front, and I'm going to end on a positive note, okay? So we're going to talk about all these guys, all these players, and we're going to address kind of like losing situations, right? And how we go about this. So yesterday I had an LDAF meat inspector come to my store. I'm not making it up. It happened yesterday. I got the phone because I got the panic phone call. Grant, meat inspector's here. I'm like, okay, just let him go in all the freezers and let him do whatever he needs to do, right? Well, I always talk to him on the phone. He goes on the phone, and we're also using a separate facility, in a USDA facility in Mississippi. It's an out-of-state facility to process some of our meat. And I go, well, since you've been here last, we started using this other facility. And he goes, I saw that. He goes, Grant, are they killing the animals at that facility? And I go, absolutely. And the reason that he asked me that question, and it was a trap question, and the reason that I'm describing this experience as a losing experience, because when people ask me questions like that, I don't trust them. Because if I would have said, no, the facility does not kill, that means I'm using a custom facility that is not properly licensed to process meat for resale. Does that make sense? So he was asking me a question that, one, he knows, because every meat label has a facility number. That's what he does for a living with the state. He can find out if that facility processes, but he's going to ask me that question. And as the farmer being inspected from somebody from LDAF, and he asked me a question like that, I asked him, why are you asking me this question? Of course they process the animals there fully. I drop them off live, they do the kill. So that's an example of a scenario where I don't trust the meat inspector when it comes by. Now, what kind of relationship is that when it comes to food safety, right? Because I'm going to be dodging them. I'm not going to want to show him freezers. I want to have like a separate set of freezers that he doesn't even know about, right? I don't, right? So, but yeah, that's where we are. That's an example of something that always kind of bothers me a little bit. Restaurants. We had a restaurant come to the farm. The chefs came there, handshake deal, right? Set up a price, did the initial delivery. We didn't get a contract. We didn't get a down payment. Shame on me for doing it. Delivered the first round of product to them. We're about to deliver the second round of product to them. Asked Kate, they know that we're delivering this week? I sent them all the dates. They had like 5 weeks of dates. And I don't know, we didn't talk to them. Well, we call. In modern vernacular, the restaurant decided to ghost us, right? No contact. Well, we had taken on a pretty big burden for them. And then when I finally called and got in touch with the manager, she started negotiating price with me, all right? So we don't actively market to restaurants because that was an experience of us getting burnt. We hustled, we rallied, we sold all the product retail. It ended up working out, but it was pretty disheartening, right? So that was an example of kind of like a restaurant, scenario that we dealt with. Farmers. Farmers are kind of a pain in the butt, right? I mean, we have tried working with other farmers on things, and we'll order the product. We schedule the product with them, schedule price. Hey, we're going to pay you COD, the whole deal. And then we try to pre-sell stuff. So if Max, I'm going to pick on you. So if Max says, hey, Grant, look, I got this cull cow A cow that's got to go. Got to go to freezer camp, right? Do you have any customers who want it? The beef. How old is she? 4. Oh man, that fat's going to be so yellow, you're not going to think it's beef. 4-year-old cow on grass, fantastic. Well, I negotiate a price with Max, right, on that beef, and then he schedules a date with Eunice Superette. I find 2 customers. They agree to take half a beef each, right? They're going to fill their freezers, right? Everything's set up. The dates are set up. Everything's done. I find out. Max calls me up. Hey man, I can't bring the animal in. Okay, why not? I sold it to somebody else. He showed up in cash, and he bought it because he had cash right there. Max, man, I know I haven't done business with you before, but I'm making the story up. This didn't happen, right? Didn't happen, but look, I had a guy call me. He needed some chickens gone. Right? They called me. I showed up to buy all the chickens. It was going to be like $250. I show up, and look, we're out in the country. I don't have an ATM down the street. You know what I mean? And look, I got a business. I gotta write checks and use credit cards, right? I'm not running around paying cash. No. It's just not happening. I get there, bring the cages, get ready to load, start filling out the check. He goes, "What's that? It's a check. Can't take a check." I was like, dude, I drove 40 minutes out here, and I was like, there's no ATM. He's out in the country too, And then he goes, I can't take a check. And I go, dude, look, y'all called me. I've got the business. The check is good. Come on, give me a break. He goes, no. I'm like, all right, no check, no sale. Got in my truck, and I left. And that wasted 2 hours of my time, right? So those things happen, right? So farmers aren't innocent in this. Farmers markets. Called up farmers market in New Orleans. I'm not going to name any names. It's easy to figure out. I go, we want to sell at your Tuesday farmers market because it's uptown New Orleans. It kind of meets our criteria. Fill out the application, Grant, no problem. And I was like, before I fill out the application, I want to know, do you have a spot? And guys, you have to understand, for me to do a farmer's market, my gross revenue at a farmer's market, I need to do $1,500. If I'm not selling $1,500 at a farmer's market, you have to remember, a farmer's market's like a 12 or 16-hour day. I was like, I can go work a job at $10 an hour. If I want to go make a little money, I can go just call my buddy up at a coffee shop and be like, hey, dude, you need a barista for a day? Right? No, I need to make a profit, right? So, it may not be $1,500, but it's pretty close to it. So we're pretty picky. And they're like, well, do you know if you have a slot available on Tuesday before I fill out the application, because it's a lengthy application? We may have a slot. Well, just let me know. I was like, what's your protocol? It's like, well, after you fill out the application, then I have to go talk to the other vendors, the vendor committee. I go, can you imagine me meeting a real estate agent at a strip mall where there's multiple businesses, and I want to rent that one, and the real estate agent goes, no, I got to talk to the other businesses to make sure. Oh, no, I'm paying rent here. No, I'm going to go. I'm like, if that's how it's going to roll, because I can't have these other folks making decisions for my own business, right? And so I was like, sorry, if that's how you're structured, you're going to talk to the other vendors. The other vendors may not like me. I don't, a lot of people like me. There's definitely some group of people that don't like me. So I could not, I had to back out, right? Because it's my business, how we make our living. I'm not working a full-time job someplace else. This is what we're doing for a living, right? Local food advocate nonprofits, right? I have gone, no offense, we love some groups. We had a food justice guy that I really thought this guy was awesome. Food justice, they're concerned about food deserts, very important work. Man, sometimes I feel guilty that we're selling pork chops for $8 a pound, right? Because there's only a certain socioeconomic group that can afford $8 a pound pork. Well, I started running some numbers, and I was like, man, I think there might be a way for me to make a sausage, an everyday salt, pepper kind of sausage, maybe out of some old sows or something, and sell it for like a low price point, like just below like a restaurant wholesale, because I was like, I could sell to folks who qualify for some sort of help, whatever, instead of wholesaling to restaurants, right? Well, I called this guy and I was like, hey man, I got this idea, I'm willing to do it. You know, I move kind of fast, right? I can have a label done in 3 weeks, you know, we can get this done. And he goes, Grant, can you compete with Walmart on the pricing of the pork sausage? And I was like, come on, man, you know, no. I was just like, just to give you an idea on pork, pork has a 3-to-1 grain to live weight ratio. That means I have to feed that pig 3 pounds of grain or feed to get 1 pound of live weight. That's head, hair, hoof, blood, that's it all, right? Well, our feed cost, if I bought the cheapest feed available, it's 18 cents a pound, right? We'll do the math. Was that 54 cents? 54 cents a pound, that's my cost of live weight. Well, then you got to get rid of the hair and the blood and the bones and processing fees. Well, I can't sell $1 a pound pork. Like I'd be like literally like paying, you know, a couple bucks. And and so that's where that conversation went. And this was after like some getting to know him and some meetings. Boy, did I feel deflated, right? Well, that's a very common thing with that part of the world is that, oh, we got to do it. We got to do it. We got to do it. Well, then you get a farmer, you know, we're going to do it. We're boots on the ground. We're going to make this happen. We're going to figure out a way to do it. We're going to get it done. Yeah, no, we can't do it that way. You know, meanwhile, unfortunately, their main job may very well be to fill out USDA grant applications because that's how they pay their own salary, right? They are an executive director of an agricultural-based nonprofit, but at the end of the day, their business is to pay their own salary. I don't think that they're really concerned with solving any type of problems. It happens. So that's my view of that. Direct consumers. Direct consumers. We do love the direct consumers, right? Direct consumers, I got to speed up here. Grant, can you sell me pork for Walmart pricing? No, right? And so they started asking me why, you know, we have to charge what we do. Consumers, the main problem with, I guess, a consumer is that they're not willing to get information from, you know, a farmer or a grower or whoever. Next slide. Oh, actually, you know, that is the last one. All right, go back to that. Okay, we're gonna run through this real quick. Okay. So what's a win-win? We kind of described like lose-lose scenarios, right? Well, win-win scenarios, right? LDAF passed a bill a couple of years ago, which is the Cottage Industry Food Bill. Amazing, right? Because before, you had to go get a commercial kitchen if you wanted to make kimchi and jar it and sell it, right? So I can do pickled green beans, I can bake cupcakes, you know, I can do all these things in my home kitchen, and I can sell these value-added products. Value-added products, if you're a grower or something, I can sell basil for one price, I can sell pesto for another price, right? And so, consumer, man, pesto is expensive at the grocery store, and it's awful. It's a jarred stuff in the aisle. Man, no, I want fresh pesto, right? So that's an example. LDAF has great potential to pass bills and legislation to help us out. There's two areas where LDF can continue their food cottage industry rules, right? One, I hate the term raw milk. Man, raw anything in marketing is just awful, right? Unless you're selling oysters, right? Non-pasteurized milk has great potential in Louisiana where dairies are like dying on the vine, right? That could be done in a regulated, scientific way. LDAF, we're one of the 5 states in the U.S. that don't allow it in some way, shape, or form. Or they can allow open-air poultry processing on farm. Not to go into it, USDA allows a farm, 1,000 birds and under, to process on farm open air. No buildings or anything. Louisiana is about one of 5 states that don't allow it, right? They do allow some on-farm stuff, but basically you need a processing facility. Farmers. Farmers need to work together to sell their product. You mind going back to that logistics slide? Okay, stay right there. Okay. I'm a farmer and I'm on my farm and I'm raising whatever, right? You hear it all the time. I'm too busy to answer my phone. I'm too busy to email. I'm too busy, whatever. We are all very busy. But I was like, that logistical channels and networks, if all the farmers actually started working together to sell one another's product, holy cow, would you sell a lot of product, right? So our food delivery hubs, we're doing 4 on average a week. By selling other people's product, we're grossing like $1,500 a hub, right? That's 4 times a week. We don't do it every hub, but we're getting close to it. If we do $500 gross revenue at a hub, we're kind of like, that was all right, hub. You know, people are on vacation. They weren't ordering their food, right? I mean, I could quadruple my sales. We've got folks who aren't even buying any of our eggs or meat, right? They're buying the produce. That's fantastic, right? And we're paying a premium to the farmers, and we're paying COD. They're dropping off, we're cutting them a check. We take it to the customer writes us a check. Everybody gets paid. And we all sell and we all network together. I don't need a big, huge walk-in cooler. Not yet, we're getting there, right? The farmer may have the cooler. Whatever, we're all working together. So important. We're selling cut flowers, we're selling honey, we're selling bread. I'm trying to think of other stuff to sell. It's fantastic. You mind going back to the LDAF, blah, blah. Okay, all right. So farmers, y'all got to work together. You got to work together. Farmers markets. To play on to that, farmers markets, they need to do, in my opinion, several things. They need to get rid of and abolish non-compete policies at a farmer's market, right? Because you might have Joe Bob who got his foot in the door 5 years ago selling his honey at a farmer's market, and then you got some bright-eyed, bushy-tailed guy who wants to make a living doing honey. He's ready to rock and roll. Man, his product is awesome. Not only does he have honey, but he's got beeswax, he's got beeswax candles, he's got maybe some pollen. He's got this whole honey, like, smorgasbord buffet of product. No, you can't sell at our farmer's market because Joe Bob, he's got his honey, and he's been here the longest, and we have to respect that. I get that, but we need to have a way for a farmer's market not to have a marker for somebody to have a monopoly at one market. It's just not a good policy. It's not how economy works. It's not how capitalism works. The other thing that they need to do is that they need to allow farmers to sell other people's product, right? So if you're selling produce or you're selling flowers, right, well, how hard is it to have a non-perishable thing of honey on your table? There may be no honey vendor at that market, or the bee guy doesn't have time to go to the market, right? Well, if I got my product here and I got his honey here and it's labeled, then the customer knows that honey, I'm not doing the honey. It's full transparency, right? And then even if it's an insurance thing, hey, I can call my insurance agent up and be like, hey, dude, I want to resell honey at the market. Is that cool under my policy? You know, normally they'd say, yeah, whatever, it's honey, right? It's honey. It's not a big deal, right? So farmers markets need to allow vendors to work with other farmers to move more product. Because if I have a table this big, you know, my product might be able to fit this. Well, I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I get 5 farms right here. And everybody can make money because I'm going to charge all the other farms like a 5 or 10% mark, dude. If I sell $100 worth of your stuff, I get $10, right? You've got to get your logistics and your distribution consolidated. You know what the term is in agriculture? Why there's all the chicken farmers are big chicken farmers, and how Costco is now directly contracting with chicken growers to grow their own chickens. Chick-fil-A is contracting with farmers to grow their own chickens. KFC, it's called vertical integration, right? We need to vertically integrate amongst ourselves, right? There's a little company out there that sells other people's products. It's called Amazon. If you haven't heard of it, they seem to be doing pretty well right now, right? They really don't make anything. They work with other people and they sell their stuff, and they provide a platform and distribution system. There's no reason why we can't do that here. Direct consumers. I got 2 minutes, my 2 minute. Direct consumers. I love our customers. Kate, we had a great hub the other night. Let's say Tuesday. Monday night hub. Kate's awesome. If y'all ever get a chance to meet Kate, she's great. She's like secret sauce in our sales, right? So she's like, oh, man, we're selling a lot of pork on this hub, right? We get excited when we sell our meat product because that's our main thing, right? And she goes, this lady, she ordered like this, and this 2 weeks ago, like sausage, bacon, pork chops, and she's ordering like bratwurst, and she's ordering some more bacon, and I was like, man, we're feeding people. That's cool, man. I mean, our product's in people's freezers right now. We're feeding people's kids. That's awesome, right? I love that. The consumers that we find are successful, that we're willing to like really work with. I talked to y'all over there. I chatted with them before. They're in the search for buying some beef, like fill the freezer kind of a thing. They're looking for relationships with farmers, right? So I promise you, if I go up to a farmer and be like, hey, I'm really trying to buy local. You got all those pork chops here and all this kind of stuff. Can you give me the smallest pack of pork chop that you've got? Versus the customer who comes up. I love these customers, man. You can see them coming. You know why? Because they've got ice chest with them. Yeah. So they come up with their ice chest or their bags, and I go, you getting some stuff today? I had a couple came into the store with our brick and mortar store with the bags, and I go, they're putting meat and chicken, we're selling other people's chicken and stuff. And I go, well, look, I'll give you a discount, just hit this mark, I'm gonna give you a discount. Like, let's get it all together. And they, I made it worth their while to do that. And that was a win, going back to the win-win, lose-lose, all this kind of stuff. We get a big thing from consumers that's kind of expensive. And I was like, yeah, but if you buy like a lot, I might be able to be cheaper, than Whole Foods, who you've been shopping at. I'm going to be more expensive than, say, Rouse's, but I think there might be a way for us to do that. FYI, I'm a direct farm sale, so I don't have to charge you the sales tax on it, right? That's like 5%. So there's all these little things in there. So anyway, so I'm wrapping up. I will be around all day. When you leave here, I really want to stress this. We have to work together, all of the groups I mentioned, in order to make it work. And if we do that, we will all be financially rewarded to do that, or rewarded in our own personal health, and rewarded in our relationships, right? Because now I found a new friend, right? Farmer has got a new customer, customer's got a farmer to go to, and that's how we build a community. So that's what I want you to leave here today with that. So seek out relationships and work together to build the local food economy. Thank you.
A few minutes for questions. Does anybody have questions? Just raise your hand and I'll come by with the microphone. Yep, you're not done yet.
Questions for me?
Yep.
Sorry. Let me bring back up here.
Grant, could you talk a little bit more about your farm delivery hubs
Yep. So
that you operate?
I have to give credit to Polyface Farms out of Virginia. When we decided to do the farm thing, I was like, hey, if we're going to do this, I'm not going to play around. I really want to get like good advice. So we've been working. We brought Daniel Salta down the past 4 years for seminars. Anyway, so we modeled it after them. They call it their Metro Buying Club. And the way it works is we aggregate a customer list or email list around a neighborhood, right? So let's say Max is in Youngsville, right? All right, let's say we want to do a Youngsville hub. I want to get my foot in the door in Youngsville. I know somebody who lives in Youngsville. I'm going to call Max up and I go, Max, this is the deal. can I set up at, I'm gonna have this orders, can I set up at your place? It's gonna be for like 2 or 3 hours, and people can come to your house and pick up the product. Yeah, dude. I was like, appreciate, look, if you want to buy any beef from me, that's fine, he's a beef guy. If you want to buy any beef from me, I'm gonna give you 10-15% off as a host fee. Remember like old school pot and pan salespeople, or Tupperware parties, right? You find the host to give you the facility, and then you make it worth their while, whatever that is, right? Well, then we seek out people in Youngsville. Now today, there might be a Youngsville Facebook group. Cool. I'm gonna message the Facebook, the Youngsville Facebook group moderator and be like, hey, can I put a shout out, we're doing this food delivery hub, I'm looking for people interested, right? Then I get all their contact information, this is email based, I get all their email, they go, I got 100 people, right? Well, I got this 100, now I aggregated a potential customer list in Youngsville. I send them out a hot sheet of what's available that week and be like, you have to give us your order, it's gonna be on Tuesday from 3 to 5, Max's place, be there, be square. You can pay credit card, or you can write me a check or cash when you get there. That's it. That's how we do it. So it is old school direct marketing salesmanship. That's all it is. That's exactly what it is with modern technology. I mean, we all look. See this thing? Dude, these are awesome, right? Awesome. I mean, if y'all are not, if you're farming world, if y'all are not using technology, oh man, y'all are missing the boat. That's essentially what it is. And people have different forms of how they do that, but at its core, that's what it is. Yep.
All right.
And so while you're walking over there, we've got 9 of them right now that are like every other week. So we do like 4 a week, like every other week. Yeah.
Hey, Grant. So are y'all permitted to resell other farms' food?
We have a retail business license.
Okay.
So as far as the produce, there really is no license that I know of that you need to resell produce.
To resell someone else's produce. Does that make them a wholesaler?
I have no idea. That's not my job. I am not a government agent, and I'm not there to ask those kind of questions.
That's sort of the
so.
issues that we're facing here in Lafayette, is the ability to resell other farmers' produce without certain permits and things like that. I'm just trying to understand how you all were able
Oh
to.
yeah, look, I'm like libertarian guy, right? I mean, I'm going to do it until I get busted, to be honest with you. We collect sales tax. I pay sales tax. We now, as a shout out to Farm Bureau, we're covered under Farm Bureau insurance. Farm Bureau agent. I'm reselling produce. This is what I'm doing. This is exactly what I'm doing. You're good to go. When you increase sales, you need to let me know your new gross sales figures. But I'm insured. I've got a brick and mortar store, so I've got the business license to operate. I guess I have everything I need that I know of. I don't make it a habit to call LDAF and be like, can you please tell me what permits I need to pay? So, no, I'm sorry, I'm being a little sassy about that, but no, But is there, what license do you need to resell produce? A grocery license. Yeah, well, what's the definition of a grocery store? Like, is there gross sales associated to it? Like, what's?
There's a packaged food and then a non-packaged food.
Okay, yeah, so, no. Yeah, so, I mean, one day we may look into that, I guess, but, yeah, I'm not really all that concerned about that, to be honest with you. Yeah, so we are, yeah, we're just doing it, and most people just do it, so I recommend you just do it.
All right. Wait. So everybody can hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry, my mom. No. Do you also do cottage food in your grocery store, or is it just commercial?
The cottage food stuff. The only cottage food product I think we carry would be honey and some fermentables. I say fermentables, sauerkraut and kimchi. Yeah. And to go back to Zach, with the inspector that we had, we have inspectors like multiple throughout the year, and nobody's ever instructed us that we ever need anything different than what we're doing. So, yeah, so that's what we're doing. Cottage industry is the,
So is that all y'all are interested in doing, or?
oh, us personally? Well, we're trying to stick with, the fermentables is kind of a cool thing because the person who's doing the kimchi and stuff, she's sourcing from a local farm. So that's kind of like, so we have some criteria with that. But no, I mean, we're kind of open to do whatever, to be honest with you. I mean, yeah, if it sells, it sells, right? Yeah.
All right, well, and on that note, let's continue these conversations. We'll take a break for coffee, and the restrooms again are way down the hall and around the corner. And coming up, we have the next session, which is culinary storytelling, and that'll be moderated by our board member, Andre Arsenault, and features Denny Colbert, Megan Wyatt, and George Graham. Thank you guys so much. We'll be back here in about 10 minutes.